attainment. Indeed, it is likely that a child who is manipulated against one of their parents will engage in such practices when they grow up and have children of their own. I must say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that I have had to work at avoiding being negative in conversation with my two youngest children since my second marriage broke down. Thankfully, my second wife Karen and I, for all our differences, work really hard at putting our children's emotions first. This is down to good and regular communication. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I can understand how a parent can slip into the milder forms of parental alienation. So this, I believe, highlights the need to raise awareness. Since this debate was announced, I have received a number of emails from victims of parental alienation, and I'm sure after this evening I will receive more. Of course, it would be unwise to take these accounts at complete face value. Such cases are often complex, and there is always two sides to any story. However, I can believe that many of the tales which have been recounted are experienced by many parents up and down the country. Last month, when I tweeted an article about parental alienation, I was surprised by the response I received. This is an issue that most people outside Westminster are aware of, though they may not well use the term parental alienation. I know a few of those who got in touch said they'd be watching this debate, and I'd like to thank them for sharing their experiences and would urge them to share their experiences with their Member of Parliament. I'd also like to make a few observations before I share some of the more high-profile cases which have been reported on. Firstly, many fathers' rights campaign groups have rightly been campaigning on this issue for many years. Understandably so, given the trauma many fathers have to go through to gain access to their children after separation. However, it's important to note that mothers can be both the victims of parental alienation as well as the perpetrators. Additionally, the manipulation may not come from the parent who has custody over the child. Indeed, a mother or father who sees their child only at weekends could use that limited contact time to poison the mind of their child. Moving on, Mr. Deputy Speaker, given that we know the problem affects many families, it is surprising that there are so few documented accounts. Last year, the BBC's Victoria Derbyshire show highlighted the case of a girl whose father manipulated her against her mother. Emma, not her real name, went to live with her dad 2 years after her parents separated. He deliberately blocked her and her siblings from seeing their mother. The father blamed the mother for the breakdown of the family in front of the children. He told his children their mother was a liar, a drunk, disinterested in seeing them, and that she no longer loved them. Emma was subject to this abuse for 5 years, but was none the wiser. As she told the BBC, and I quote, "With me only being 9 to the age of 12, I didn't know better." Emma's father blocked her attempts to see her mother until Emma eventually ran away. She managed to reach the home of her aunt and call her mum for the first time in years. She now lives with her mother and has cut all ties with her father. She now questions how her father can look after children. While the children are often unaware of the abuse they are being subjected to, the parent being vilified is all too aware. Miriam's case, again not her real name, highlights the suffering experienced by such a parent. Her case is particularly harrowing given the serious sexual allegations made against her by her son after her husband told her she would never see her child again. Miriam denied these accusations and they have since been dismissed by the court. Yet she did not see her son for 592 days. And now her son will only consent to seeing her under supervision every 6 weeks. She is losing hope that she will ever have a meaningful relationship with her child ever again. She told the Guardian newspaper, and I quote, "My son has been so severely manipulated by his father that it may not be until he has his own children that he comes back to me." I know of one mother who had her children stealing jewellery and underwear from the separated father's home. She encouraged them to write graffiti there and even had them put hair removal cream in the shampoo bottles at their father's house. These are some of the more extreme examples of parental alienation. So what can we do going forward? It seems that there is a lack of information out there about parental alienation in the United Kingdom, and therefore I believe there needs to be further investigation. Parental alienation needs greater recognition of this by the UK Government, and the family courts need to record parental alienation as a specific issue. Without such data about the scale of the problem, it is difficult to recommend a solution, let alone monitor the impact of any measures the government might decide to introduce. When considering this matter, the government should also consider a variety of measures, from investing in initiatives to prevent or stop this form of abuse in its early stages, to programmes to support victims, as well as changes in legislation to ensure in the most extreme circumstances parents who abuse their children in this way are punished. Investment in early prevention efforts must be prioritised, and better guidance given to the courts, social workers and all those who have children under their duty of care. I believe the government has already funded a CAFCAS pilot scheme to provide therapeutic programmes relating to parental alienation. I would be keen to know from the Minister how this pilot went and if the government plans to continue to expand the programme. I would also urge the government to take on board the concerns of Joanna Abrahams, the head of family law at Setford Solicitors, who has expressed concerns that cuts to legal aid will prevent parents from accessing justice in regards to this issue. Parental alienation is recognised in the US and Canada. It is illegal in Brazil and Mexico, and parents in Italy who manipulate their child can be fined. It is also worth the government exploring these different models to see how best practice can be adopted here in the UK, and I hope the Minister can liaise with his counterparts in these countries. This is an issue which has a serious impact on our children. It is a crying shame that this form of child abuse is all too often going unrecognised and unreported. I believe the issue of parental alienation wants further debate here in Parliament, and after which we need the government to take further action. Finally, Mr Deputy Speaker, one of the most immediate and simplest ways we can improve the situation is to raise awareness, making both parents conscious of the damage parental alienation can do to their children. Mr Deputy Speaker, we can all help raise awareness by doing more next month, on the 25th of April, when we mark Parental Alienation Awareness Day. Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker.
Well, Mr Deputy Speaker, can I start by just congratulating the honourable gentleman for securing the debate and also for the very interesting and thoughtful contribution which